Okay, here we go. So 1 to 6, I will not, you just leave it. Okay, so we'll kind of take those 6 marks off, but just pay attention. It kind of, we started talking about this in our notes yesterday. So we know that X, right, is to represent the number of shirts. So X is the number of shirts. Sorry, guys. Shirts. And the Y is the number of pants. Okay, so keep that in mind. And so if you were to write an expression where you would have to say a minimum of 10 pants, first of all, you have to use Y because we're talking pants. You want a minimum of 10, that would be, you would have to say, have an expression like this. It's saying at least 10, greater, more than, like 10 or more, a minimum of 10, this is the expression that would go with it. Does that make sense to write it like that? Okay. Number 2, no more than 25 shirts. So now we're talking shirts, and you want no more than 25. So that means that this number has to be less than or equal to 25. Okay. The sum of number of shirts and pants must be less than 50. The sum of, okay, so if X represents the number of shirts and Y represents the number of pants, right? The sum of the numbers, right? Whatever the combination is, must be less than 50, right? So it must be less, this sum has to be less than 50. That's what you would write down there. There's no equal because it has to be less than 50. It cannot equal 50, okay? It's the wording that makes everything, you have to be very careful with the wording, I guess. Okay? The sum of number of shirts and pants cannot exceed 25. So X plus Y cannot exceed 25, but it could be right 25, right? So that has to be less than or equal to 25. So if you are getting this, you're on the right track, okay? Shirts cost $10, pants cost $20. The maximum that you're able to spend is $250. How would that go? Well, if you pay $10 for every shirt and you pay $20 for every pair of pants, the maximum that you can spend is 250 bucks. So whatever combination of the two has to be less than 250 bucks, right? So you could probably buy 10 shirts that put you at 100 bucks already. And if you bought 5 pants, for example, it'd be 100, so it'd be 200, that you'd be fine. You could buy 10 and 5, right? And so the combination is there's many combinations of those two. State the implicit constraint for the above variables. This is new to you, but the implicit means like the hidden, what is the question not saying, but it is true. And it's this, that X and Y both are greater than or equal to 0. And you will get used to this. Like, you cannot have negative. Can't have negatives. That's basically what this is saying. And so the implicit is, if it's explicit, right? That's something that's very obvious. Somebody's actually saying it. If it's implicit, is what is not being said, but obviously assumed. Okay, so X comma Y is greater than, you're almost giving it a range, right? It can be greater than 0, but not less than. Range and domain, sorry. All right, number 7, now it counts, okay? 1 to 6, bonus. Not bonus, just whatever. And 7 and on will count, okay? So we're using this inequality to calculate the x-intercept. And I will just tell you what it is. or I guess I can quickly do that, right? 15x is equal to 300. I think this is where some of you drop the inequality, because I show you that it's equal all of a sudden, and then you just drop it. It's like, this is just to find the x and y-intercept of the boundary line, but it's still, we're still talking about an inequality, okay? So x is equal to 20. So if you have x is equal to 20 or 20, 0, you get the mark there. The y-intercept is 60y is equal to 300. Divide both by 60, and y is equal to 5, 0, 5. Okay. State the slope and the slope-intercept form of the line that you would enter. So it's basically 60y is less than negative 15x, because the 15x comes over, plus 300. And then you divide everything by 60. Nothing flips. You don't flip a sign because it's positive, okay? And so that would be, I will leave it as this, even though it's 1/4. If you did 1/4, that's fine. But that is the one that you'd be entering into your calculator. And here, I almost don't want you to, don't write it as a decimal here unless it's finite, because when you enter it into your calculator, your corner points will be different. And round your x and y-intercepts to 2 decimals. I saw a lot of 1 decimal rounding, okay? Would this line be dashed or solid? It would be dashed because it doesn't have the equal, right? So dashed. It has this, not this, okay? So that's why it's dashed. For reverse shading, would you shade above or below the line? Uh-oh. I don't like this, Mr. Dirksen. Why can't you just tell me what it is, right? So let's go back to here. Because y less, true is below. That's what we care about the most. True is below the line. When we do reverse shading, we shade the false. So we'd have to say above, right? Because the true is below, false is above. And for reverse shading, we shade the false region. So we would have to shade above in this case. Is coordinate 5, 5? Sorry about that. It's a typo. 5, 5 part of the solution of this equation? I don't know. You take, this is what I really want you to do here. Go back to the original and plug in these points. So it's 15, 5 plus 65 less than 300. Is that true, right? So you calculate the left side and you get, yeah, I'm just trying to, is this a different, yeah, so 375, yeah, so 375 less than 300, that's false, right? It's a false statement, so you'd have to say not part of solution, right? If the statement is false, it's not part of the solution. Interior adjacent angles of parallel lines are supplementary. So if you think of parallel lines, interior adjacent are these two here. They're side by side, or these two here. Consecutive interior are also supplementary. So whether you mixed it up with that, you would have still had the right answer. What's the sum of interior angles of a pentagon? Sum of 5, right? Pentagon has 5 sides. That's 5 minus 2 times 180. And that is 540 degrees. In a regular pentagon, what is the measure of each interior side? We can really just say 540 divided by 5, right? And that's 108. So there is 108. So 9. This is out of 9. This AC is out of 9. So from 7 to 15, add up what you got there. And you know what? I'm not going to take this one in. You keep it. Every once in a while, I do that. It's for you mostly than for me, right? That's what it is. And that way, make sure 1 to 6 starting tomorrow and after our notes, you're able to do those, right? Like the 1 to 6 is going to come back. So no need to hand this in.